Up next is Jeff Gordon. He drives the number 24 Drive to End Hunger Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. And Jeff, certainly, with your sponsorship, with the fine folks that you are working with, I understand that yesterday you helped deliver a millionth meal to someone on behalf of Drive to End Hunger, and that is amazing. Just talk about that and that experience, and then I'll ask you a racing question.
Yeah, I get to do a lot of really cool things. I mean, it's opened my eyes up so much to this cause and how many millions of people are dealing with hunger issues in America, and because of that, we get to do some pretty cool things. But yesterday was definitely one of the highlights. A woman named Frida, who lives in Rockingham County, very nearby to here in North Carolina, who relies on Meals on Wheels to deliver her meals every day to her. And she's the classic story of individuals that need those meals desperately, because she worked so hard to feed her family throughout her whole life and gave everything for them, and now she relies on those meals. And it was pretty cool to be able to deliver that 1 millionth meal for Meals on Wheels to her in the state of North Carolina. So that was very special, and spent some time with her in her home with her family, and she was such a sweet lady. She, when you live this close to Martinsville, they said that at times they can actually hear the cars going around here. But her husband, who had passed away, was a big NASCAR fan. A lot of her family members, big NASCAR fans. She's a big Richard Petty fan. Even brought up Lee Petty's name. So, yeah, that was very special to be able to do that and to help somebody like that.
Thank you very much, Jeff, and thank you for all you do for not only the sport, but for the people across the world here. I mean that. Let's go to Steve Post, and then we'll go to Marty Smith.
Steve Post, Motor Racing Network. Jeff, historically speaking, Martinsville, 1949, Red Byron won a race here, won the championship. It's been very key in a lot of your championship runs. Can you describe it historically? Is there a race, a moment, or something that Martinsville really played a factor in one of those championships that you had in the past? And a follow-up on that is, how important is it for you this weekend, knowing that you're back in the battle again and knowing it's been a good track for you?
Well, I can say, honestly, never has it been more important than it is this weekend. I mean, I definitely think it's played an important role, and I haven't gone back through the stats and history of what this track meant to my championship runs in the past. I just knew that it's always been a track that I've had confidence in. Our cars are good. Our team is solid here, and we come in here believing that we have a chance at winning, and either if it was under the old points format of trying to build a lead, or one that we tried to gain some points if we were a little bit behind. So to me this weekend, though, with the way this format is, don't get me wrong, I don't feel like we're in a must-win, have-to-win situation. I think we're in a situation where this is a great track where we can win at, but getting a really good finish and getting it started off right is also almost as important. And so we're very focused on this track. We tested here, and we've had a good day so far, and hopefully we can end the day on a positive note, and just continue to carry that momentum that we have here in Martinsville, and really kind of put our stamp on our championship contention and chances for Homestead.
Let's go all the way in the back, Marty Smith, and then we'll come up here to Jeff. I think somebody had a question. Go ahead, Marty.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Jeff, your teammates are done. How does the fact that you have gone from three teammates in the chase with you to being alone, how does that impact your effort? And do you feel like you're on an island at all?
I don't. I mean, I feel like, a lot of things don't change. I mean, we always share information, work together, have our debriefs. Crew chiefs are constantly talking about setups in cars and how we get better as we go into each race weekend, our own theories. and I feel like that that will continue. I think the only difference is that we're not racing them for the championship. So, how you race one another when you race for a championship, obviously every split second counts, and you race one another extremely hard. And I think that if those guys have a chance at winning, they're still going to race hard. And beyond that, they're very supportive. They've mentioned it to me already of how much they want to see us get that championship. So it's great to have their support. And we've been in this position before to help, certainly with the 48, and we do all that we can to give them valuable information by being competitive each weekend. And then if the opportunity presents itself, I mean, it's just one of those things where on a restart, instead of going down there and 8 tires being better than 4, you just you race them hard, but you race them clean, and hope that we just hope that we put ourselves in a position with a fast enough race car to to be able to race up front, and if we're racing those guys, then hopefully we just don't rub on one another or race one another so hard to where we could cause problems to happen.
Go to Jeff Hood, and then we'll go to a man right here, and then to Justin.
Hey, Jeff Hood of RacingToday.com. NBC returns to the sport to cover NASCAR in 2015. You hosted Saturday Night Live on NBC back in 2003. I believe you're friends with Lorne Michaels, the show's creator. If given the chance, would you consider hosting SNL again?
I mean, it was an opportunity of a lifetime, and I had a blast. I was also scared to death to do it, but I'm glad that I did it. If I had any requests, I'd be just let me go do a Ricky Funk skit. That was my favorite thing that I did on the show, and I thought it was pretty funny. And I would love to get the opportunity to do that again. But if they ask you, it's one of those things where you can't turn it down. If you're asked, you have to do it. It's just too much of an honor and an opportunity that you can't say no to.
Go ahead, right here.
Charles Rourke, Star News. I don't know if you know this, but after you gave the millionth meal, we had a telethon, and your hats brought in about $2,000 extra to that telethon that you signed. So thank you for that. How does it feel when you go in the community and it pays it forward so much?
Yeah, that's great. That's I did not know that. That's wonderful news. I mean, that's what we're trying to do with this program. It's not just fundraising. It's getting the word out there for more people to understand, how serious this issue is, and we need more volunteers. We need more people to be aware of it, to really get involved and make an impact. And it starts in small local communities, and it spreads throughout the country, and every little bit helps. And I think obviously Frida and her story and how important that meal was to her is the greatest way to spread that word.
Is it better than having a beer sponsor?
I've never had a beer sponsor, but I would say yes. I'm my own beer sponsor, so yeah, I think this is way better.
Let's go to Justin.
Jeff, 3 of the 8 guys that are still left in it have won a championship earlier in their career. Do those guys, those 3, have an advantage, or because of the new format, really an advantage is eliminated?
Okay, explain this one to me again.
3 of the 8 that are left
Yeah.
have won a championship, you included.
Right. So it's me, Keselowski,
Kent.
and Matt. Yeah, it's so hard to compare because, I mean, my championships were under a completely different format. All of them were under a different format than this one this year. So I don't know if it gives an advantage to anybody. I think the best team that has handled pressure well, that these upcoming tracks suit them well, those are the ones with the advantage. I think it's obvious there's been some surprises as to who's in there and who's not. But I think the way I look at it, the four that I feel like have been the really strongest teams all year long are in there, and that's the 22, the 2, the 4, and ourselves. So I'm not saying that means that's going to be who makes it to Homestead, but those to me are the teams that have the best chance.
Other questions? Nate Ryan, front row, and then Deb.
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. Jeff, about, say, 5 years ago, it seemed like, well, didn't seem like, there was a stretch where either Jimmy or Denny won every race here, I think 8 straight races, and you were in the mix, and Tony was in the mix, but beyond that, there weren't a lot of other guys who were really challenged, and now Kurt Busch won in the spring. Kenseth was strong in both races last year, and you kind of had a top 5 the last race here that was had some unfamiliar names. Does it seem like this place is more of a jump ball, and is there any reason for why the dominance of maybe 48, 24, 11 has faded a little bit over the last few years?
I mean, the competition's always trying to get better, and you watch your competitors, you see what they're doing. It's amazing the spy photos going on around this garage area these days of how we're getting information, whether it's the cars on the track or in the garage area. And so when you look at your teammates or your competitors, and you look at somebody who starts to do very well, you start to look at those details as to what it takes. So sometimes it's things they're doing with their cars and their setups, but the spring was a strange race because Goodyear changed the tire, and that tire, I know for me, was very far off. We really struggled with that tire. We were wearing left rear tires out. The track wasn't laying rubber down, and it was a very odd race for us. And that's why we decided to test here, and then they went and switched the tire back to, it's more of a 2012 tire, but similar to what we had here at the end of last year. And, it really brought my car back to life, to what we had that worked so well. So that's sometimes all it takes is just changing a tire that can throw your setup that's worked so well or a driving style that you have and throw it off and bring others into the mix. But I think, everybody is always challenged by Martinsville and how difficult this track is. And, the top teams and drivers look at that challenge and take it on and say, we don't want this track to be, our Achilles. We want this track to be a track that we can be a real factor at. And, I look at Matt in that sense. I mean, this is a track where he struggled, and then, that year he really was strong, and he changed to a different team that obviously showed you that team had something that worked really well here. Denny's been very successful here, and they were able to capitalize on that as well. So sometimes it is a setup. Sometimes it's in how you produce your car, and sometimes it's just looking at data and driving styles as well.
Other questions for Jeff? Deb, right there.
Jeff, Deb Williams, RaceToday.com. 10 years ago, this race, we had the Hendrick plane tragedy. And even though this track has been so good for you as far as victories are concerned, and I'm sure you always think about it when you head this way, but have you thought about it more this particular race, and is there always a pain in your heart when you head to Martinsville?
Yeah, especially this particular one. And this, we celebrated, the memories of those folks this week by recognizing, this being the 10th anniversary. We want to celebrate because they brought so much, to people's lives, and they're missed so much that, we had a whole memorial type event this week. So it's certainly on our minds, and we've got that decal on the car that is going to again bring focus and attention to that, because we never want to forget them. And that was a tough day for all of us. And we every time we come back here, we try to pay tribute at this particular race to those families. It was good to see some of their faces of those that have had to move on and live their lives with a very, very heavy heart. So we try to honor them by doing something special, and the ultimate would be a 1, 2, 3, 4 finish for Hendrick Motorsports. That to me, I don't think you could do any better tribute than that. So that's our goal for the weekend. Thank you.
Right there. Go ahead, Jordan.
Jordan Munder at Naval Register and B. The Grandfather Clock Trophy turns 50 years old this weekend. I've been asking a lot of the drivers, what it means to them, and knowing all the implications of this race and all the emotions that are tied to this weekend for you guys at Hendrick. What would being able to add another Grandfather Clock to your collection mean to you?
Yeah. By the way, Frida had a Ridgeway clock in her living room. It was so cool. I love that. Sorry, just a little note. That trophy is extremely special. It's unique and one of a kind. And, when you get the opportunity to have that clock delivered to your home or to the shop, it's very, very special. And I cherish every one, and I look forward to that opportunity. And we've got a great opportunity this weekend. And everybody always says, "Oh man, do you ever have trouble finding a place for those?" No, we can win more and more and more. We'll never have a problem finding a good place for it, that it's going to be well respected and displayed properly.